What's up, YouTube? What's up, Husker Nation? So, plans have changed a little bit. So, if you're surprised to see me here after the last video, changing up the format of this season. Again, we are talking Husker football. Last video I told you I was probably only going to be doing one video a week, combining both post-game reactions and previewing the next game a little bit. That's changing. Got some family things going on that have led me to have to drop out for this semester at UNK. So I'm gonna be on here twice a week now. Doing a, after a game, I'm gonna do my post game reaction with notes and stats and all that good stuff. And then, probably a couple days before the game, I'll post a prediction video talking about, what I think is going to happen the next game. That out here, so I have it. So yeah. That being said, we won. I'm happy about that. There's some areas that need improvement, but there's some things that we did really well. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Real quick, though, I am going to shamelessly plug my new business, houseofjoyglassworks.com, just to give you guys a quick, sorry, I had to lean over because my mic was in the way of the other screen as far as some information. So, guys, you got some special ladies in your life. Holidays are coming up. You'll want to give them something nice, unique, pretty, something that they're really going to appreciate, something that represents their individuality. And ladies, you gotta treat yourselves, right? You gotta treat yourselves, So, House of Joy Glassworks, that's where that can potentially come into play. That being said, ladies, if you're looking for something nice and pretty to wear on game day that kind of fits with Nebraska football a little bit, at least with colors, I have some products that go really well with that. So I make glass pendants with House of Joy Glassworks. This is one of them right here. As you can see, it is a beautiful red and white, Milli Fiore. There is a little bit of yellow in there, but it's a really nice, pretty pendant. Sorry, I know the reflections are kind of, but it's on nice, durable stainless steel chain. Nice, durable stainless steel jump ring. Very high quality. I use really good glass. And the prices are really, 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 really reasonable. We have another one here. This one's also red and white. It's also got some little spots of black in there. But it is a red and white Milli Fiore in a glass dome. Again, stainless steel jump ring, stainless steel chain. So it's really nice and durable. Good high quality. So definitely check out houseofjoyglassworks.com. These are both available on the website. We're also going to be at Junk Jaunt, Nebraska. So if you're in the area, you'll want to check us out. We'll be in Ravenna, Nebraska. We're going to have, I'm hoping to have somewhere between 700 and 800 pieces that will be exclusively at that. Anything that doesn't sell there in Junk Jaunt will end up on the website. So definitely come by, check us out, say hi, that sort of thing. If you go to the website and you use promo code GOBIGRED, you'll get 65% off your order. And it'll let me know that you watched this video and watched this channel. And I'll probably include some special little thank you thing in with that as well. On top of that, we also have the big thank you promotion going on right now. So if you order, your order total is $40 or more, you're also going to get free shipping. So both of those can be combined. So combined savings, really awesome. Definitely check it out. With that, let's get into the game. Nebraska won 20-17. And let's face it, it was a bit of a nail biter at the end there. And for all you out there going, Cincinnati, we should have stomped them. Cincinnati, in recent years, the last 2 years have been kind of crappy. But it wasn't that long ago that they were a pretty decent team. 2021, they went 13-1, 8-0 in the AAC. You know, that's not bad. You know, in 2022, they went 9-4. 2023, the wheels fell off when they joined the Big 12, and they went 3-9 with 1-8 in the Big 12. 2024, they started to improve. They went 5-7, 3-6 in the Big 12, and missed bowl eligibility. However, they do have a lot of talent that they've recently signed, and I look to see them probably being bowl eligible this year, so they're not as bad as one might think. You know, give them a little bit of time, and they're probably going to be a decent team this season. That being said, let's get into today's game. Again, the final score was 20-17 in favor of Nebraska. By the way, if you see me keep looking up here, this is where I got my notes. I'm looking over here every once in a while because this is where, where I can actually see what's going on, make sure everything's looking good. I will try to make camera eye contact as much as possible, but please keep that in mind. Now, today's game was at a neutral site, but with as many Nebraska fans as were in attendance, it might have, instead of being called Kansas City, it should have been called Lincoln South. Let's face it, most of the crowd was Nebraska fans. We bought up most of the tickets. Cincinnati decided, even though they were technically the home team, they decided to wear their road red. And, we still had our away jerseys on and whatnot, but it really definitely seemed like this was a Nebraska home game. It definitely felt like that. We had 8 p.m. kickoff. That's why this video is coming out so late. In fact, you're probably watching it what would be tomorrow for me. That's fine. So let's kind of go quarter by quarter, so with some observations and some notes. We'll get into some stats. We'll get into why, where we improved, what we did well, what we didn't do well, or what we need to improve upon, and we'll, also compare this to our season opener last year against UTEP a little bit. So, first quarter was kind of a slow start. It really was. There was some defensive energy, but it was kind of a slow start on offense and whatnot for both teams. For Nebraska, the defense was aggressive, but they were kind of undisciplined. We got flagged for unnecessary roughness. Should have got that penalty or not. It was, but, it was kind of borderline. The offense looked sharp in flashes. Raiola found rhythm on short throws, but we couldn't sustain our drives into scoring range. And I know that's broken record, but let's get into Cincinnati. Cincinnati did take advantage of field position. They hit an early 45-yard field goal for a 3-0 lead. Their offense was pretty conservative. They leaned on short runs and quick passes. They also had some false start issues cropping up, which kind of stalled their momentum. The final score after the first quarter was Cincinnati 3, Nebraska 0. Second quarter, Nebraska began settling in a little bit. I had a ton of notes on that, and I got them all, pretty well organized up here. The special teams shined. And how good does it feel to have a reliable, effective special teams? It doesn't have to feel great, guys. Like compared to recent years, like our special teams have been ugly, but this year looking pretty good. The special teams looking pretty good. Tristan Alvano, he nailed a 52-yard field goal to tie the game at 3-3 in the second quarter, and then added another from 22 yards. Bringing our lead to 6-3. Giving us a lead for 6-3. The passing game clicked. Raiola connected to Nyziah Hunter on a touchdown strike after Cincinnati fumbled, which again brought us up to 13-3. Some notes: passing game looked great. The defense recovered a fumble, which led to Hunter's being able to score a touchdown, and we went into halftime 2 scores. Cincinnati, their defense tightened slightly, but continued to commit false starts. The passing attack was ineffective. Sorsby was limited to short throws. The offense leaned heavily on quarterback runs, but couldn't capitalize on drives. Score at halftime was 13-3 in favor of Nebraska. Third quarter. This is where Cincinnati, they fought back a bit. Nebraska, I'm not sure why we made this call, but we did. We decided to go on 4th and 2. I think it would have been better if we had let our special teams punt the ball downfield and pin them deep. We could have pinned Cincinnati deep and let our defense go to work. This is where we almost blew it the first time this game. We shouldn't have gone for it on 4th and 2. And we definitely, by not converting, we ended up missing a chance to extend the lead. Our defense definitely began to show fatigue, but that also could have been just the shift in momentum. Defense seemed a little off. They seemed to be struggling. I think a lot of that had to do with the shift in momentum after that failed 4th and 2 conversion. And our defense also struggled against QB runs, which is a recurring weakness from 2024. We got to work on that, guys. Like, we got to work on that. But we'll get into that later. Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby took over with his legs, rushing for 85 yards total in the game. He scored a 7-yard rushing touchdown and cut the deficit to 13-10 in favor of Nebraska. Their defense also started to win more battles at the line, forcing Raiola into shorter throws. The score after the third quarter: Nebraska 13, Cincinnati 10. Fourth quarter. Oh, this is when I wanted, I started biting my nails a bit there. Like, it was a bit of a nail biter in the fourth quarter. But we did seal the win in the end. And that's, in a close one-score game, 3-point game, us being able to do that is so critical. And is a huge improvement over last year. Or last few years, actually. Actually, last several years, if I'm really being honest, being objective, but, we had an early drive in the fourth quarter that was capped by Raiola, connecting with Dane Key for a touchdown pass, stretching our lead to 20-10. The defense responded. There was a bit of a momentum shift there a little bit. Gifford and Malcolm Hartzog, they made key plays. And after Hartzog had a penalty for holding right there at the end, he did also redeem himself right after that with an interception. So, whew, I was worried there a little bit. Some of my closing notes on the fourth quarter, the defense was definitely more aggressive. And the offense was kind of trying to start rolling a little bit late there. We had a balanced approach with Johnson running for 108 yards, which helped lead the clock. Cincinnati, they did punch in another rushing touchdown from the 1 yard line, closing the gap 20-17 with 7 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. It was really that touchdown that really started to make me worry whether Nebraska was going to win this one or not. You start getting flashbacks from previous years, and you just start going, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I want to believe. I want to hope. But in the end, Cincinnati also couldn't finish the comeback between penalties, false starts, and kickoff out of bounds, stalled late drives. Yeah. Luckily, we did end up saving the game. Cincinnati's passing game was absent. And they finished with only 35 yards through the air for the whole game. The final score ended up being Nebraska 20, Cincinnati 17. And let me tell you guys, I was worried there at the end. Luckily, we pulled it off. Had to take a knee at the end, and just to close out the clock, that late interception was by Hartzog redeeming the holding penalty that he did, which that holding penalty gave Cincinnati an automatic first down. It wasn't a pretty win. But no one's going to argue that it was not a pretty win. But it was a win. Now, again, I predicted Nebraska was going to win 34-24. Well, even I was predicting a close game. Not this close, but, we won. We got that first win under our belts. There are major areas of improvement that need to happen if we're going to do as well as everybody thinks we're going to do this year. I'm not changing my season prediction at this point, but we'll see. Well, let's kind of do some final team comparisons here. Total yards. We'll start with total yards. Nebraska, 356 yards of offense, 243 yards passing, 113 yards of rushing. Compare that to Cincinnati's grand total of 226 yards on offense, 35 of which were passing, 191 of which were rushing. Nebraska definitely won that battle there. In fact, looking at this, Nebraska won all of the key battles. Time of possession. Nebraska almost doubled what Cincinnati had. Nebraska had 39 minutes and 7 seconds of possession. Compare that to Cincinnati's 20 minutes and 53 seconds. That is a big deficit there. Nebraska definitely won that battle. First downs, Nebraska again won this battle too with 23 first downs and 12 compared to Cincinnati's 12 first downs. As far as third down conversions, Nebraska was 8 for 53 with a 53% success rate there versus Cincinnati's 4 for 13 with a 31% success rate. Nebraska again won this battle. We also won the turnover battle. We haven't been able to do that very often. We have not been able to do that very often. Nebraska had 0 turnovers. Cincinnati had 1. penalties. Again, Nebraska won this battle too, both in number of penalties and number of yards because of those penalties. Nebraska had 6 penalties for a total of 50 yards worth of penalties. Cincinnati had 9 for a total of 65 yards, including 5 false starts. We won all of those battles, and that's why we won the game, or part of why we won the game. Takeaways. Let's look at my takeaways for Nebraska. What did Nebraska do well? Let's look at what Nebraska did well. Quarterback play. Much improvement. Raiola is a sophomore this year, and he has improved greatly. Or at least appears to have improved greatly. Let's see here. Raiola went 33 of 42 completed touchdowns. 33 completed touchdowns for 42 out of 42 attempts. That's for a total of 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he did well avoiding mistakes. He did a lot better than last year, at avoiding mistakes this game. Time of possession. Nebraska nearly, again, as I pointed out just a little bit ago, Nebraska nearly doubled Cincinnati's time of possession. And they controlled the flow of the game. And let's face it, guys, Nebraska controlling the flow of the game is critical. I look to see Nebraska continuing to improve as the season progresses, and provided players stay healthy. Which I think Matt Rule is really focused on that, and I think we're going to see some major improvements as the season progresses. Then there was impact from our receivers. Transfers, like, we got 2 major transfers at the receiver position with Travis or with Hunter and Key. They combined for 2 touchdowns and 120 yards. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Travis Hunter when it's Nyziah Hunter. I'm working on it. But, like I said, they combined for 2 touchdowns and over 120 yards. Special teams. Oh my God. Our special team is doing great so far. And I hope they only continue to do better as the season continues. I really want a special teams unit at Nebraska that we can really rely on and that is really dynamic. Alvano, he had those long kicks. Archie Wilson's, directional punts definitely set, both of those definitely set the tone. And I look to see, them doing really well this season. So we got some great stuff going on there. Areas for improvement. There's some things that we need to improve. Our run defense versus mobile quarterbacks is one of those things that we really, really gotta, tighten up on. It's something that's plagued us in the past, and if we don't fix it, it's gonna plague us in the future. Sorsby accounted, Cincinnati Sorsby, their quarterback, accounted for 85 yards and both of Cincinnati's touchdowns. We gotta learn how to contain mobile quarterbacks. It just has to happen. Red zone efficiency. We really got to get better in the red zone. We had to settle for 2 field goals early in the game while we were in the red zone instead of touchdowns. We gotta fix that. This game would have been a totally different score. Momentum would have looked totally different if even if one of those trips to the red zone had ended up being a touchdown. Even if one of those field goals had been a touchdown, would completely change the momentum of this game and how this game ended up. It is what it is. We're improving. We're doing better, but that's something that we need to work on. Penalties. Early in the game, and even at the very end, we had another penalty that could have ended really bad. early undisciplined flags could have been costly in a tighter matchup, and that penalty right there at the end, that was almost a touchdown. That almost ended up resulting in, causing a touchdown, and would have lost this game. Luckily, Hunter, he had the holding penalty there, resulting in an automatic first down, which led right to Cincinnati going for the end zone. Luckily, Hunter redeemed himself and got that interception right there at the end with just seconds left on the clock. That could have been completely different. So that could that could have turned out completely different. Luckily, it didn't. Luckily, the odds were in our favor at that time. At that moment, right there at the end. Like I said, it could have been bad. That could have cost us the game. Luckily, it didn't. So again, we got to work on, the players got to work on being more disciplined. The coaching staff has to work on them being more disciplined. Penalties are going to cost us. We're doing better, but penalties are going to cost us if we don't work on that. Now, let's just kind of compare this to last year's season. Last year, we beat UTEP 31-14. We committed 3 turnovers, which we committed zero this game. But, we committed 3 turnovers last year in our season opener, and we mustered only 274 yards, and we kind of looked flat against UTEP last year. This year, however, we beat Cincinnati 20-17. We did way better at protecting the ball. Way, way better. So again, we did better at protecting the ball. We put up 356 yards compared to last year's season opener, only putting up 274. And we executed in key moments. When it came down to crunch time, we executed. What does this all mean? Well, this win showed that Nebraska can finish a close game against a Power 5 opponent. But Cincinnati is in a Power 5 conference, and they are technically a Power 5 opponent. They're maybe not the best, but I expect them to at least be bowl eligible this year. As far as Cincinnati goes, Nebraska, I want not only be bowl eligible, but I think they're going to do pretty good. Like I said, I'm not changing my season predictions yet. You seem to tell. Akron will be another one that'll kind of give some indicators. Houston Christian will also be something that'll give us some indicators. And then we got the Michigan game, which could very well give us some major season indicators there. Like I said, finishing close games against Power 5 opponents is something we failed to do very often in 2024. It wasn't a dominant win. Really wasn't. But it was definitely a step forward. And it sets the tone. It helps start setting the tone for a season where discipline and playmaking could elevate them from middle of the pack to serious Big Ten contenders, which is where we want to be. We want to be serious Big Ten contenders. We want to always at least be in the conversation. If not, winning the conference. That's something we want. That's something we need to be building towards. We need to be building towards consistently making bowl games, consistently making the playoffs, or at least being in the conversation. We need to be. We want to be consistently, improving, consistently being dominant, and I think we're going to get there. I think we might even get at least some of that this season. So be looking for that. Be looking for changes as the season goes on. Be looking for improvements as the season goes on. The game was a tough one. What are we at time-wise here? Okay, about 30 minutes. Okay. like I said, Cincinnati, I don't think they're as bad as some people think they are. Um, I think they're going to improve over what they did last year. Um, so, like I said, you know, we got some kinks to work out. We got some places we need to improve, but there's some things that we've clearly shown improvement. And I'm looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys about Husker football and about what Nebraska is doing. Um, Sorry about the chaos behind me. I run a small business. I DM D&D, as well as play D&D. Um, some of this is going to be getting kind of cleaned up because we got to get the place cleaned up for some stuff that's going to be coming in the near future. Um, I'm not going to say anything yet to you guys, but let's just say there's going to be some changes coming. And these are some changes that I'm really looking forward to in my personal life. And like I said, I think Nebraska is going to do better as the season progresses, and I'm looking forward to that too. Um, as always, go Big Red, go Big Red. God bless you guys. Again, check out houseofjoysglassworks.com. Um, again, 60, promo code Go Big Red, 65% off your order. Plus, if you order more than $40 worth of stuff, guess what? You get free shipping too. So keep that in mind. Um, like I said, as always, go Big Red. And I will see you probably Thursday or Friday of next week. Um, to preview the Akron game a little bit. I got to do some research on Akron. I got to do some research on development for Nebraska this week and that sort of thing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this season. I'm being positive. Are we going to win it all? I don't. It's too soon to tell. It'd be nice. I'd love to drink that Kool-Aid, but time will tell as far as that stuff goes. Um, Again, go Big Red, and I will see you guys, like I said, Thursday or Friday next week. Talk about Akron and what I think we'll do against Akron. With that, y'all have a good night. I'm gonna get this posted and all that stuff, and I gotta try and get to bed so I can get up a little bit earlier tomorrow so I can take care of some stuff I gotta take care of. Um, yeah. With that, I'm gonna hop off here.